He put his wife Avia and their daughter in the city with Noam, brother, who lives opposite. He goes up to the podium, takes the gun, starts driving. Noam asked a woman to wait for him for a moment, also climbs on measures, takes a gun, goes after him. We're heading towards the envelope together.
This is what Yehuda looks from the last battle of Noam and Ishi Slotki, who fell in combat at Alumim Kibbutz. Two brothers don't wait for an eighth order. They are determined to go and fight the enemy. Even the anger of the rear doesn't help. They climb on uniforms and hit the road. Ishi to sleep first, then Noam calls and asks my brother, a creature waiting on the side, wait for me, I'm with you.
He told
The
me...
protesters remain in the car and they travel to the strip. There was a bit of a crash talk. I was very angry at both of them. I'm not angry with them much, but usually when I get upset, then they listen. And I just felt like they already knew where they were going and what they were doing.
What do you say to them in conversation?
There are histories, meaning women with babies, but there was no revelation.
All those relatives worried, trying to gather every piece of information about the brothers, praying for their safety. Father Dian, the head of the family, is celebrating the holiday with the converts in Kafar Sivan, at the same time as Rabbi Shmuel Slutsky is at the Beit Din. Only after the Sabbath does he realize that his two sons have lost touch.
During the Sabbath, La called me because in order to try to tell me something about the children, and right away I told him if it's not life-saving, then leave the phone available only for reserves.
I think after an hour or two, I am already in contact with Edishto Shel Noam. They do not answer. Do you know what happens with them? And every few minutes, I send her, I spoke with her, she sends me. That's it. Since then, we've actually brought... there was still optimism. We said maybe the phone fell. Maybe a manager is waging war and factories are injured and that's why they are not available. But with time, as the hours go by, we started to understand that there's an event here.
Thank you.
During the Sabbath, their parents try to keep up with Rehav. He visits hospitals, and at some point after they both know a cell phone, he decides to venture out and search for his life himself.
I traveled, I reached the Alumim Junction and saw their car at the bus station. The car was intact without any damages. As I circled their car, there were a significant number of bodies lying, relatively organized. I started searching there and saw that they were not there. There were no living people there. It turns out that a lot of the bodies there were terrorists.
Jonathan, his brother, Ishi's partner, she receives the news that connection is lost while he is in Africa as part of the work. At that moment, he decides to take the first flight and return to the country.
It's a bit hard to describe the relationship because those who don't know Akhtar, I think, don't know him. It's a combination of a very, very good brother and a very, very good friend. And my hope is to signal Aishi and Noam that I'm okay, so they can see the notes again among people. From that moment on, the anticipation is just to reach the land.
Whom did you hear, my Lord?
In life and death, they were never separated. Ishi and Noam fell after a tough battle against dozens of terrorists.
You can clearly see them quickly parking the car with Noam coming from the driver's direction and his wife exiting from the driver's pocket. And with a run, just start a storm, catch fire from a few points.
Street cameras reveal a last testimony of the two brothers leaving their family members without thinking twice. We head to the national kibbutz to fight together side by side in the last battle of their lives.
Seeing them pass along, there's a line of exploding cars with fire and leaning missiles against them and punctured and dripping vehicles. Getting off the vehicle, they are being shot at and they duck, organize themselves and attack with drills against dozens of terrorists who were there at that time, at that spot. Our understanding that this is not a naive event of misunderstanding reality sharpens. They knew where they were going and they still thought they could help, even though they probably understood that they might survive. And yet they continued from the understanding that if not them, no one will do it in their place. The army was not there at that time.
The tragedy of Noam and Ishi, who fell together in battle. only strengthens the family's resolve to keep fighting for the future of the country.
We went to the funeral on Thursday night. They stood here in levels in the streets, along kilometers, ultra-Orthodox, secular, national religious women and little children, ultra-Orthodox women. They stood without any arrow, without separation. They stood together, stood with the flags of Israel, everyone.
The family mosaic of the Slotki family reflects part of the spirit in Israeli society.
No, I didn't know, and I knew right away. Afterwards, we inside the family vote for different parties. And we have at the Sabbath table debates with shouts from here to I don't know where, about politics and about the people of Israel and the state and what's happening here.
Believe me, she felt a lot of regret. Not everyone goes the way I thought they should go in exactly the same way I live my life. Ironically, this was their last act in which both of them are traveling on Saturday for such a high purpose, with an understanding of reality when one observes the Sabbath and one does not observe the Sabbath during regular life. It teaches that sometimes I looked at things from who does more and who does less isn't the right way.
They are the widest paths there are.
A huge hole that will never be paid.
Despite the double tragedy, there really is no way to recover from it. They receive their mother's blessing and all decide one after another to stand for the draft.
My brothers are considered heroes, and I want to believe everyone would do the same.
Jonathan, my father too, wants to return to reserves, as if in the end she didn't tell anyone not to go, and it seems that everyone will come back. We said it's a weekend together. And 9 to 1.
Yes, we have reached the possibility that we stay until the end of the week and then we return to reserves.
Wow.
There is a great pain that they are not, but it is simply not. Pride, we are full of pride for their participation in the victory. We live here thanks to such people.